Welcome to the Diversity Connector podcast, where we explore the rich tapestry of human experiences. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the country on which we meet today. I would also like to pay my respects to elders, past, present, and emerging, and together as we dive into conversations that bridge cultures, challenge stereotypes, and celebrate the unique perspectives each of us brings to the table. Each episode is a journey through stories and insights from a kaleidoscope of voices, each sharing their colorful narrative. Whether you're at home, on the go, or just anywhere in between, you're now part of a community that values understanding, inclusivity, and the beauty of diversity. So plug in your headphones, get comfortable, and let's connect through the power of our shared stories. Welcome, and thank you for joining us on the Diversity Connector podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Diversity Connector. This is Gertrude Mache here in beautiful Melbourne, Australia. And today I am graced with the presence of yet another fascinating guest. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our tribe. Please tell everybody your full name, where you're based, and share your story with us today.
Hey Gertrude, thanks so much for having me. Brett Krause is my name, and I'm co-founder of Bretta Corp Inc, based here in the tropical North Queensland, just south of Cairns, and we build forests. We love creating habitat for endangered species, and my partner and I created a not-for-profit charity organization back in 2016, and we planted our first tree on a property we purchased next to the main highway, and since then we planted 20,000 native trees there, and people can drive past now and see a man-made, human-made forest as they drive on the way through to Cairns. So a bit of a backstory. My parents had a sawmill, and I was quite a conservationist, I think, at a young age, and that used to annoy Dad a little bit. But I've worked in various different jobs, all kind of up and down the coast of Queensland and in Darwin. And we moved to a property here in Tully, and there was so much grass around because it had been neglected for so long. And I thought, oh, wouldn't it be great to be able to revegetate this area and, get rid of the invasive species of grass and create more habitat for our wildlife here, And so after a couple of years, we looked into how we could make this happen and how we could kind of create an industry of forest builders, so to speak, or revegetation practitioners here in the north. And since 2016, Bretta Corp has held over 150 community days and different kind of little conferences or conventions, you may say. And we've now planted over 125,000 native trees across our area. And one of our main focused features of reforestation is using the Miyawaki method. And this method is about using native species, planting them densely, and creating an organic forest without any poisons or herbicides. And within 1 year here, they are self-sustaining. And what would normally take 200 years on a bare patch of soil or cut grass, so to speak, we can replicate within 10 years using this methodology. And the basis is using climax species to create a climax forest much quicker than it would normally take through the different processes of succession of the floral species. And we've now built our 15th Miyawaki forest, and it's been a great journey. After I built the first one, which was funded by Landcare Australia, I was hooked, and I thought, oh, this is a great way to recreate urban forests, rural forests, or connect remnant habitat, extended, etc. And our 15th forest is 420 square meters in area, and our largest one, which we completed at the beginning of this year, was 750 square meters on a cattle property, and we created a large strip that will allow the native fauna to move across the landscape there. So we've also conducted a lot of community event days, such as how to create a seed ball, how to grow trees, nursery event days, the Master Tree Grower course, which we held, I think it was back in 2019, and that was the first time that training course had come to the Kasserine Coast. So we were really proud with federal government funding to be able to bring that to the area. And our main kind of intention, I guess, is just to get more people involved in the outdoors, appreciate nature more, try and restore it or make the world a better place than when we came to where we live. If 25 million Australians planted a tree, what a great thing that would be. And because we're planting on the first Saturday of every month, we'd love to see it, or start a movement even where first Saturday of every month around the world, everyone plants a tree rather than once a year or on a birthday or something like that, even though they're great ideas. We've also been in contact with the sort of creators and experts on the Miyawaki method forest. I traveled recently to India and met Shubhendu Sharma, who is the founder of A Forest in India, and we explored many of his forests that he'd first created almost 10 years ago now. And also we traveled, myself and a filmmaker, to Japan, and we met the very first Professor Miyawaki's assistant and understudy and expert right hand, Professor Fujiwara, and we were able to explore the Yokohama University grounds where a lot of these forests were first built. And we also found the very first Miyawaki forest in Oita, Japan. So that was a great experience to be able to explore, understand the ideology of this method, and be able to talk to the experts that, you know, have had over 30, 40 years now of experience developing this method, bringing it out to the Western world, and kind of proliferating this idea of native trees are best for regenerating the world. But it's not just about the environment, it's also the social aspect, you know, the well-being activity of people getting together to network on a day. We now have about 20-25 volunteers come along on our community days, and it's just a great way for people to talk about things that they may not ever have the chance to otherwise at work or at home. and, you know, develop and discuss a network of people who are committed or willing to care for the environment. So I really encourage anyone to get out there right now, plant a native tree, create your own group, make the world a greener place. Our website is brettacorp.org.au. And if you'd like to learn more, you can contact us at brettacorp@outlook.com. And we'd love to hear more from you, and keep on
So,
planting.
what a wonderful project, Brett. So, the phrase "make Earth green again, one tree at a time," it stands out in your mission. What does this phrase mean to you personally, and how has it influenced the approach of the Bretta Corp Incorporated?
Yes, our mantra is one tree matters. And this was long before anything mattered, really, so to speak, that terminology. And it was because here we had a cyclone 10 years ago, and they made a small feature documentary about it. And there was a local mahogany glider conservationist who mentioned that one tree matters from the perspective of that endangered species animal. You know, that could be the difference of their home, or a feeding tree, or a source of roosting or habitat. And I thought that really makes sense, that one tree kind of can kickstart or be the catalyst for a forest.
Yes.
And so we also, because we're wanting to encourage and inspire others, you know, planting one tree can really make a difference in so many ways that are kind of invisible, or will only happen in the future.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
in a way, I love creating the future indirectly, and it's like a butterfly effect, you know.
Yeah, you
That
know
the
it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time, and it may not
Yeah,
happen in your lifetime, but it will happen. I love
that's it.
that.
Yeah.
So,
The
Tally Queensland has a unique ecosystem. How do you ensure that the trees and the forest that you're cultivating are aligned with the native environment and biodiversity?
Yes. When I first became interested, I was like, oh, let's just plant any tree. Let's collect all the different species from around the world, as I think most people do when they kind of get into this. They're like, oh, I want one of them and one of them. And I think that's just human nature. But we've really focused down really quickly to just the native trees. That's what's best, you know. And that's what's going to create the native biodiversity. You know, we don't want to be encouraging invasive species or trees from the other side of the country. And it really leads to a philosophical kind of moral Zen question of, you know, what is native, what is forest, and everyone's opinion differs. And
Differs.
that's why I love this aspect of forest building, just the people's version of an abstract idea in a way, even though it's a real tree or a real forest, you know.
Yes, yes. So, what challenges have you faced in getting the local communities engaged in your reforestation efforts, and how have you overcome them?
Yes, lots and lots of challenges. And it's a good thing. I like a challenge. It's been 8 years in November. We've been incorporated officially and running events every month. And when we first started, there was like myself, my partner, and a friend, 3 people, 5, 6, 10. Now we're at sort of 25. The main challenge, I think, is just having the land to do the event, the funding to be able to create the event or the project, and then the third kind of challenge is hoping that volunteers come along, or because we're such a small rural community here, you know, there's only 2,500 people in the town, and 3,000 in the next nearest town, and then maybe 35. So the challenge is to get people interested, focused, committed, and coming back and at least going away talking about this environmental issue, such a broad spectrum. But the main challenge is to create a space where people are having fun in the environment.
So collaboration seems to be the core value of your organization. Can you share some impactful partnerships or collaborations that have significantly advanced your mission?
Yes, we're always looking for opportunity to collaborate with other groups or people or corporates. I guess our main big break really was with Landcare Australia. There was a gentleman there in the fundraising office, and he was such a gem. He just got what we wanted to do. We applied for a grant funding round they had, and we were able to do a test pilot, 100 square meter Miyawaki forest, after getting the information from Shubhendu in India via the internet and email, which was quite a delay. And I ended up writing a handwritten letter to him to try and get his attention, like, how do we do this? Because there wasn't much written about it. There wasn't a guidebook, so to speak. But
Yes.
since then, they have that now on the internet. But it was just a way of trying to get the detail out of someone in another country was quite difficult.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But it worked at the end. So given the global nature of environmental challenges, how do you envisage scaling your initiatives beyond Queensland and possibly outside of Australia?
Yes, this is a good question. How do we scale up this United Nations decade of restoration that we're in? It's an official thing, people are listed with it. How do we get that word out? How do we get more people involved in the environment? And one of our other big breaks, actually, to the last question, was where we're contacted by a lady who has founded a group called Sugi in Switzerland, and they have developed a worldwide network of forest builders that specifically create Miyawaki forests around the world. And so it was really good to have someone reach out again from the other side of the world. And now, we're all part of this evolving building network of Miyawaki forest builders. And through this, it all leads back to one of the challenges is how to get the funding. And, we've had government grants, federal and state, and we've had other groups, recently one from Rotterdam in Holland, who has funded a pilot project to sort of create or quantify small biodiversity credits. So that was another great lead, the network's building, the word's getting out there. It's not just about carbon credits anymore. It's about creating a society that's, evolving with the environment or creating it in their urban or local area. And that's what I love, is that we are well on the way of creating this industry of reforestation.
Have you created any initiatives with the Indigenous people of Australia? with their wealth of knowledge of indigenous trees. Do you have any projects, an example you can share with us in that direction?
Yes, when we first ventured on this journey, we contacted our local corporation of traditional owners here, and they're called Girigan Aboriginal Corporation. And within that group, there's 7 language clans, so to speak. And our primary group is the Kinjin file group, or the Gulnay. And we've met those traditional owners and spoken to them about what we are doing or want to do. And they've come along to tree planting days. We've met the extended family and kind of got the blessing of what a great thing to do to turn this degraded landscape back into native forest. And yes, we have consulted with them. They have a native nursery that we sometimes purchase trees from to supplement our own tree stock, and they've got awesome wealth of knowledge for native trees, what grows in the lowlands or the highlands, etc.
Yeah.
So but there's never enough time with these people. They really, it's hard to get that knowledge or that space available to extract the knowledge or transfer knowledge. So that is a real challenge, I think, for this reforestation space. It's so Western centric, forestry kind of orientated, and we're trying to move more towards, we're doing this for nature, not for harvesting or carbon credits, so to speak, or
Yes.
biodiversity. They're all kind of outcomes that are fantastic benefits, but we're not doing
That's
it.
not the focus.
Yeah.
So, with the increasing awareness about climate change and environmental challenges, what advice would you give someone looking to make a tangible impact in their own community, even if they don't have a background in environmental science?
Yes, that's another great question. I don't actually have a background in environmental science. My background is social science and sociology. And I think through my parents having a sawmill and, kind of, logging the forest and the impacts that has, what interests me through, university and sociology and, networks of people, it was like, how do we create a collective movement that is going to try and rectify or create jobs that have, legacy projects that are beneficial for the world. Like, we're not just kind of building forests for something to do on the weekend. We want to create employment for people, which we now have 8 part-time staff, our own nursery. And so I guess if anyone's really committed and really wants to follow this rabbit hole, because it really is deep, you've just got to focus, you've got to commit. There's going to be ups and downs, but start with experimenting, start growing your own seeds. I think that's where it all starts. Go out into the garden, you find some seeds, they might not be native, start growing them. Don't plant them out in the forest or anything, but start learning about how nature grows from something so small. It'll, once you see the outcomes of your actions, I think people will just want to do it more and more and get value from that.
I love that. So let's have a little thought experiment before we end our interview. I'm going to take you back in time to the beginning of this project. How long have you been going?
Since really kind of June 2015.
Okay. If I could take you back to that moment in time when you made a decision to embark on this vision and this mission, if you could go back and give that young man 3 nuggets of wisdom based on what you've learned up until this point, what would those 3 nuggets of wisdom be? Just in case there is somebody who's listening to this podcast, would like to jump in feet first, what would you have wanted to know before you started?
If someone would have told me how difficult, hard it is to get where we are, I may not have continued. But I think through a little bit of naivety and tenacious persistence, anything can be done. I would have told myself back then, now, don't do it. Go and open a coffee shop because everyone wants coffee in the morning and you'll be a millionaire probably. But it turns out, I think, back to one of the challenges is there wasn't as many people as I thought would be really into this, or the corporates would be more willing to support something like this. But once again, it all comes back to getting the word out there that, the funding will come only when the people see the results. And, building a forest is slow. So with a Miyawaki forest, we can create results in 1 year. It's kind of easier to market in a way of, look at a result in such a short time and let's scale this up. I'd also say to myself back then, and I wish I would know, there's going to be down days. There's going to be days when it rains weeks on end and you're not going to be able to do the work. And routine is probably the best advice I would have given myself if I could, because I'm quite, erratic, or trying to follow as many leads as possible sometimes. So my advice would be focus and stick to what you know, but innovate as much as possible. Experiment.
I love that. And now the final question, I'm going to teleport you into the future. You're now 90 years old. You're sitting on your porch in your rocking chair, surrounded by your children, your great-grandchildren, and maybe sitting underneath one of these trees. If you could teleport into the future to have a conversation with the future you, this wise man who's led you to that point, what would you say to him?
I'd say, why didn't I start earlier? Why didn't you come back and tell me to start when I was 20 instead of when I was 40 or something,
I love it. I love it.
And then I would say, you should have just went to Wall Street or Bitcoin, but you didn't. But I think I'll be happy in 90 years. We've got a target of 1 million trees. We're 10% of the way there of planting that many. It's doable with
Yes.
global networks, platforms such as this. It can be done. And my last mantra is, all the environment needs is 0.1% of the military budget. They wouldn't even miss it. It'd make such a difference, and large-scale projects could happen.
Yeah. Less wars and more trees.
Yeah. We throw
Definitely.
these numbers around, 100 million, 1 billion, 100 billion, 1 trillion. 0.1% of 1 billion is like, what is it, $10,000. And
Drop in the ocean.
It's a drop in the ocean, but we can make things happen for that amount of money that have a long-lasting social impact. Yeah.
It is all about social impact. Well, Brett, thank you so much for coming online and sharing the story with us today. You know, we can all make a difference in the world. For you, it's one tree at a time, one day at a time, and I can see your vision coming to fruition. The exciting thing is the next generation that is coming in after us. If you can capture the energy of these young kids who are really concerned about climate change, you've got an army just waiting to come on board. So good luck with your endeavors. I've got your website up if anybody's interested in participating and starting to grow trees in your own area. If you're looking for support and advice and be a part of this movement, please go online and start making these connections. And thank you to everybody who's tuned in today. The Diversity Connector is bringing you stories from people from all over the world, diverse backgrounds, diverse passions. This is definitely a passion we all need to get behind. Thank you so much, Brett.
Keep on planting.
Fantastic. Bye for now, everybody. I'll be back again tomorrow with yet another amazing guest. In the meantime, have a fantastic day, morning, or evening, wherever you are in the world, and bye for now. And that's a wrap, everybody, on today's episode of the Diversity Connector podcast. Thank you for tuning in and being part of our vibrant and global conversation. I'm your host, Gertrude Mache, and it's been an honor to share this space with you, where voices from all walks of life come together to weave a tapestry of diverse perspectives. Remember, every story you've heard today is a thread in the larger fabric of our shared humanity. So, as you step back into your world, carry these stories with you and let them inspire you to embrace and celebrate the rich diversity around us. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review our podcast to help us share these inspiring stories with more listeners. Do follow us on social media by looking for the Diversity Connector podcast for more updates. Until then, keep connecting, keep listening, and keep celebrating the beauty of diversity. This is the Diversity Connector podcast signing off. Stay curious, stay open,